Today, I hope to show you something you've never seen before. Yo dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days. Here in the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California, I got another tutorial for you. Today we're painting the Aquila crashed lander. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's a cool piece of terrain. It's that big old Aquila lander, you know, in several little pieces. It was an amazing little piece of terrain. I think we all had bought it at one point in our lives. Well, I'm painting the front part of it with the glass and the windows and everything. It's going to be a great paint job, but I hope to show you some shit you ain't never seen before. So this is in the theme of staying busy in the Beats Lab. I'm going to show you an order of operations that might surprise you. You're going to have to wait. Don't skip ahead. Watch the entire video, because by the end, it's going to snap. It's going to just be, it's going to be there. It's going to look weird because of the order of operations. We're going to be jumping around doing different things. But like I'm going to teach you today, airbrushing isn't always about the concept of like, it's dark, let me just work lighter, lighter, lighter. Oh, I'm done. That is an acceptable way to do your highlights, for sure, all day, every day. But I'm going to show you there's more to it. You know, you can slash back into the shadow. You can go darker on the shadow than you did on the primer. There's all sorts of cool things. I like to call them back shading techniques, going back to the midtones. I hope to show you an interesting order of operations that may surprise you. If you guys don't mind, I want to take this opportunity to shout out a couple of clutch individuals over on my Patreon page. My man Alasdair, my man Piers, Sean, Eric, Vladimir, Ian, TJ, Greg, and Gamers Domain. Strong week, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys help me keep the lights on. I cannot do it without you. Real quick, guys, Twitch is the live network. If you guys haven't found me on Twitch yet, go into the description box below. Check the links out. We've got rewards. Daily shit happens. We're on twice a week, but my network that I'm a part of, the Long War Network, the Big Rig Network, we got wall-to-wall coverage, guys. Anyway, check out the longwar.net, the home of the battle reports. Let's do it. Here we go. Tire Black, one of my favorite colors in the biz, by Secret Weapon Miniatures. And here is that crashed lander. We're going to basically just coat this entire hull with this Tire Black. I love this color. And we used the bargain basement black primer from Home Depot. Real quick prime job. Let it sit for a few hours out in the sun. Now we're coming in. A couple of thin coats. Real quick. You can see here too, this is a terrain piece. The details are not super fine and finesse. They're pretty blocky, a little scratchy. That's what you get with these terrain pieces. It is what it is. Terrain do what terrain do. You know what I'm saying? It don't even matter. Now here's some rubber from Secret Weapon. Love this color. It's a natural highlight. I'm not even going to wait for the Tire Black to dry. I'm just going to come in raw dog real quick. Just blend it in. Of course, we're thinning everything down. We're using Flow Improver, but I'm working a little bit more gangster than normal. There is going to be a little bit of speckling. It's not going to be a flawless transition, but that's cool because I'm going to be doing some interesting things later in this video. You're not going to want to miss a thing here. You're going to want to watch every second and definitely watch to the end because it's going to pop at the end. Everything's going to make sense at the end. The order of operations will finally make sense. But obviously right now we're just working some basic transitions in from the edges, from the top, Zenthial. You know, we got a little Zenthial, we got a little rhyme or reason, but then we start just going into the panels and just, you know, doing a quick little radial highlight. We just kind of just do what we want. Like I literally don't think about light. I just highlight where my heart tells me. It's just instincts. Usually not correct instincts. All right, we're going to grab weathered wood. This is a great color to highlight anything with. It's an off-white. We're going to use a little bit of this weathered wood mixed in with that rubber. Create a nice little highlight, and we're going to come in here, and this is where we're going to start popping these panels out, focusing on the high points on some of these ridges, but the center of the panels on others. No big deal. Like I said, there's literally no science behind this. I'm not a light scientist or a lightologist or whatever the industry term is for someone who is a professional who went to school to study what the fuck light does. I'm not that guy. Looking good. I'm feeling the pop here. I really love the way the Tire Black interacts. It's one of my favorite colors. Now, it's looking solid, but let's reinforce. Now, with the airbrush, the cool thing is that you can get real subtle, soft transitions, but then they're going to dry and they're going to mute down, and you can go through and do them again. So we're doing a mix that has a little bit more weathered wood in it, going around to popping these panels out. We're not like just redoing the entire highlight. We're kind of mainly just, you know, punching it up a notch in the center or the peak, wherever the highlight lays on the panel. Feeling that. All right, here we go. Last time. This is almost all weathered wood. Beast mode. Giving you that final contrast. Now contrast, like I've said before, it's just making the bright spots brighter and the dark spots darker. So if we're making the bright spots brighter, you can definitely bank on the fact that I'm going to come back and make some of these dark spots darker. It's the way I do it. That's how I get that hyper contrast style that I guess I'm known for at this point, but I just love it. It's just my style. I came up from the comic book world, and I just love creating contrast. I love bold lines, serious colors. I like transitions. Image comic books, when they hit the scene back in the day, and they had those transitions and those glossy pages, the Photoshop style with that sick inking technique, I was just sold from that moment on that artwork. Now, I'm not gonna stand here and tell you that Image Comics are my favorite comics, but that artwork, groundbreaking at the time. So you can see that there's a little speckling here from this brighter color. You know, like I said, it's fine. We're gonna fix it later. Just ignore it for now. I usually work a little bit thinner, but this is a terrain piece, and I kind of know in my head where I'm gonna be at in the later stages here in the order of operations, so it's not bothering me. But I would never work at this gangster. I would always be way thinner on a miniature, but on, like I said, terrain bases, whatever, they can look a little bit more textured. Feeling that. Look at its best. That's what we've done so far. That's already a pretty solid piece right there. Nice little military kind of gray, but like, you know, contrast style, comic book style military gray. Because, you know, I can't just do some muted shit. I gotta have something in there that pops it up. All right, we're gonna grab brown rust, another secret weapon miniature paint, one of my favorites. And we're gonna show you something real quick. We're gonna super fast with a big brush. We're just gonna bang it out. Literally, we poured a bunch of this out. No water, raw dog. This is how it comes out of the pot. We're just gonna go super crazy, one thick application over all the gravel. We're gonna take it right up to the lander, leave a little bit of a space there, come back in with the detail brush. There we go, time lapse. Yeah. Plot device. And then we're gonna just keep it going. See that? No big deal. We're even gonna paint all this crap right here. All the guts spilling out. These diamond plate, floor panels, whatever. All this basic metal shit right here. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to create a nice cool metal effect with the same, you know, brown color that we're using here. All right, here's a smaller brush. GW's quote unquote small detail brush. This looks pretty good as a base brush to me though. Feeling it, just cutting it in. Close those borders up. Get right up on there. You can even get a little bit on the lander, it doesn't matter. I'll show you why. Oh yeah, here's this huge ass piece of metal right here. I forgot about this. We're gonna totally coat this thing in that brown rust. It's OG. We're gonna be doing some ancient Chinese tech right here, guys. All right, boom. Let me show you some shit right here. It's still drying, right? We're gonna pull out the airbrush. We're gonna put some of that brown rust in the airbrush, and we're gonna let some of the dust work its way up onto the lander. So where the lander is in contact with the dirt, it's gonna be now sharing a bit of a fuzz with the dirt. You know, imagine it crashed in there, got kind of fucking dirty. Shit got real. You know, mistakes were made. And this is where we're at now. And it gives us a fun little weathered appearance on these panels. It looks really good offset with that gray. Grays, a little bit of a cool gray, a little bit of a reddish brown. You see what I'm doing there? It's a little bit of a cold and a little bit of a warm. That's color theory, aka shit looks tight. We're gonna do a couple little streaking scorches here off the nose. That nose took some serious damage. Some big scratches on it. We're gonna drop a couple striations along the side, a couple of scorches. Some cool shit right here. Fun stuff to do with the airbrush. Some therapeutic zen time with the airbrush. Now I applied a hair dryer to this for 40 seconds and dried it up real quick. Now Hydra Turquoise. This is another great color. This is Army Painter. We're gonna quickly order of operation while that gravel is totally dry and that dirt is totally gonna dry, and we gave it a head start with the hair dryer. We're gonna just stay focused on the task. Stay busy in the beat slab is kind of the theme. What we're going to do is we're going to take some thin coats with a little bit of water, and we're going to frame out all the windows on this lander real quick. Now, there's a lot of things out there, a lot of people on the internet, and including myself, have talked about this. You can tape these off. You can grab masking tape and tape them and airbrush them, or you can just try to like tape the whole unit off and do one big airbrush job and then just cut the frames back in by hand. But I'm showing you something I'm gonna show you some shit you've never seen before right now. I promise you, if you just keep watching, you're gonna see something no one has ever showed you before. I'm gonna show you how to be brave with the airbrush. I'm gonna show you how to stay busy. I'm gonna show you order of operations. I'm gonna show you everything. All right, so several thin coats, real thin. Just come on it. You know, literally, we're not even trying to put any level of detail down. This is just 2 multiple thin coats, 3 if you need to. Just get it nice. Get it so it's not blotchy. We don't want any of the gray to show through. That's all you got to do. Let it dry. I promise you by the end of this video, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you some crazy shit. Now, there's a lot of ways you could do these windows. That might even be easier, like I said. Anyway, let's jump on Old Mud. I'll come back to it. Okay, Old Mud, another great highlight color by Secret Whip Miniatures. We're going to dry brush this all on the gravel dirt region of the base while our windows and our cupola, and our cockpit or whatever fucking the terms are, pilot, science, I don't know. We'll let that shit dry. So now we're going to just do some gangster, fucking aggressive dry brushing unidirectional right here. And then we're going to bring it back up from the lip so there's no issues there. When it's laying flat on the table, we want it to look its best. Pretty simple shit right there. Feel like you guys know how to dry brush. Time lapse. There we go. Oh, look at that. There's like some specs and some ammo belts. Guess what? You're brown. I don't care about you. This is fucking terrain. But at some later date, I will come back and paint you, I promise. I'm sorry I was so angry and mean to you at ammo belt and pouches. So we're getting a nice uniform dry brush here. Loving this color. We can even slap a little bit of this on here in the pipes. We don't even care if it gets on the pipes. It doesn't really matter that much. It could be aggressive. There it is. Look at that. Right on cue. Let's get that diamond plate. Too easy. Look at that. Looks very interesting all of a sudden. Okay, now we're going to grab light rust, which is the next highlight color in the Secret Weapon miniature line. We're going to do another semi-aggressive highlight. Not going to do the whole dry brush region. We're just going to, focus on some of the peaks, some of the more interesting areas, giving a nice multicolored look. We want this to look its best, but we also don't want to spend a billion seconds. Terrain. The thing that my models stand on and then die on. Solid work right here. And now we're going to take this dust and we are going to flip it around. We're not afraid to get it on any of the panels. We don't care. Literally, it don't matter. You'll see. Like order of operations, none of it. It can get on some of the lander and some of the metal parts. It just doesn't matter. We're going to grab yellow rust. Another great Secret Weapon Miniatures paint. And we're going to use this to paint the Aquila. Real quick. Not really a non-metal metallic, but we're not going actual gold. Well, I'll show you later. So this is a great color. It's a rust color. So you can use this to start spiking off on those pieces of metal that are spilling out of the lander's guts pretty easily. I'll show you real quick. We're going to use a busted ass brush real quick. Just a quick dry brush. We're going to just dust some of it in. Boom. Just got a whole lot more interesting. Bring some in on these pipes. Some basic weathering tricks right here for terrain. And I know it looks weird right now, but it won't in a minute. This video is multi-layered, I promise you. There we go. Doing what we do. Get that yellow rust. It's a great color. If you did want to do non-metal metallics with gold, this would be a great color to work with. Now we're going to grab that RZA Rust, one of my favorite technical colors of the game. And we're going to just start going aggressive right here. Start feathering it out. And don't worry, it might look a little aggressive now, but it will mute down a little bit as it dries. Don't worry about it. We're just going to speckle some of this on these pipes. Make it look its best. Slap a little bit on the edges and the corners. Get it in the cut. It's a great color. It's easy to overdo it, and you don't even have to we're dry brushing it on, but you can paint it on. You can water it down and juice it on. It's a great color. But there we go. Now all of a sudden this piece of metal, whatever, railroad thing. Oh, it kind of looks like that thing on old school trains, you know, like that connects the wheels. So there we go. You see we're slapping some of this rust on the actual lander itself. Very dry, kind of dusty, like a dust brush almost. It's not quite a traditional dry brush here, what we're doing here. Kind of just like almost like a makeup brush. We're going to add a little bit of metal, random silver metallic. Anyone will do. Just going to literally blah, right onto it. Don't care. That's simple. Be brave. Slap it on the pipes. These doodads. I don't know what they're called. A little bit here. Now we're going to be a little bit more respectful right here. But back and forth against the edges on the nose here because the nose took the brunt of the impact. So it is definitely stripped of some of its paint. It's going to look a little bit more weathered. Boom. Now we're going to take that same metal. We're going to just apply it to the deepest recesses of some of these deeper gouges on the nose. Definitely indicating that that paint has been removed. Pretty simple. Pay attention. Try not to get it out of the lines. But if you do, it's cool because you can come in there and fix it pretty easily. I'll show you here. See, got that. That's a little bit out of the lines, but it's not going to matter. We're going to go back to a classic color here. RZA Rust. Classic. There it is. Little RZA Rust on the brush. Watered down. And we're going to kind of just trace along the inner edges because obviously now it's beginning to rust. Now that the paint has been removed, in my mind, I guess the narrative is that all metal rusts really fast on this planet. So it also gives you a nice texture there. You get a nice rust border. Definitely creates a little bit of an interesting texture there to the terrain. Now we're going to grab some strong tone. This is Quick Shade Wash from the Army Painter. I love this color. We're going to just real quick apply it to that aquila that we painted earlier with that yellow rust. Real quick. Pow. Give ourselves some details there. Let that dry. I'll come back to that. But we're going to use this strong tone to just start doing some interesting stuff. We're going to start applying washes in interesting ways, like a quick little pin wash here or a line wash. I don't know what the term would be. We're just throwing some wash in that groove, letting it sit on that metal. And we're going to start kind of just streaking it around there randomly. Help kind of blend it together so it's not just super shiny. Make it blend into the model. Wash is a powerful tool. But now we can start line washing and pin washing the model. There's plenty of panels that we can use this strong tone on. There's lots of nuts. There's lots of bolts. Washes. The quick shade formula from Army Painter is amazing. Right out the gate, wash them nuts on this copula. Now they're pretty low detail nuts and bolts from whatever. There's probably China plastic, forge wheeled. I don't know, like whoever makes their terrain kits, it's a little bit lower quality than the rest of their stuff. Boom. So it's important to get a nice little pin wash going to really just try to like draw that detail out because there's not a lot of it. These little details like this step right here is going to augment the model. Just a little bit of work. It doesn't even take that long. There's our first little pin wash, or aka line wash. We got plenty more panels to go though. We're going to move pretty quick though. We're not going to linger. We're not going to overthink it. It's time to be brave. Look at this. I'm going to start drawing this line right here and wow, whatever. It's fine. I'll show, because there's more steps you guys will see. Here's a nice panel. That's an actual line in the model. You can barely see it, but now I put wash in it. Another panel, pow. Under the cockpit, these pin washes, they are going to go a long way. Strongly recommend them to anyone. There's lots of little doodads, lots of little squares to trace, all sorts of cool things. And like I said, you don't have to be too concerned with the wash. The wash is going to do a pretty good job of stabilizing, not coffee staining on you. But I do have a final step to creating contrast. Remember I said you got to make the dark areas darker and the bright areas brighter. So this wash is step one in making dark areas darker. all day, every day. Now, as I'm analyzing it, I'm just trying to figure out where to put the wash, how to apply it. Just scanning it, finding good areas, letting it do what it do. All right, but here we go. This is it. This is the moment. We've taken some black, thinned it down, and we got it inside our airbrush. Now we're creating that final contrast. We're basically tracing a border between the lander and the dirt in the same place that we initially put that brown. Every panel is getting framed. Look at how much more definition the model has instantaneously as we applied this thin black border between the brown and the lander. Insane. It plays on a theory I always talk about, that the human eye perceives sharpness in one simple way. Now, if you talk about things like Photoshop, what they do to create sharpness is they simply draw a black circle or a black line or black border around every pixel. That's simple. And it just makes the image look sharper. That's a fact. So by framing elements of the model in strong borders, you do create sharpness. And that's why also I believe in the bases should always be painted black, the rim of the base. It sharpens the model. So we are adding a little bit of scorching here. We are not going to just end, the black phase by tracing one line around the lander. We are going to start adding some contrast elements within the panels themselves. So real quick, let's get another nice border. Boom, look at that. Instantaneously definition. But there's areas along the top there, the copula, other panels that we can do this to. And this is a nice thin coat, and you can be brave with this. It's fine. You're not going to hurt anything. Just get out there and experiment. Check this out. We're not even really putting that much detail into it, but since we're working so thin, you can get away with stuff. We're going to hit this panel right here. All this crap right here. Look at that. Instantaneously looks better. Love this. One of my favorite techniques. Tracing it out. Round 2. We're going to reinforce that border. Look at that. Pow. It's not even the same model, like I told you guys. Wait to the end. Keep watching because it gets even better. Promise. Now we can start focusing on some of the elements within the lander. Real quick. See, like we're accentuating some of those lines, some of those panels. Boom, right there. Really bringing definition to it. Look at this. You see how I just put a dark streak around that framework right there? Looks like that framework needs a little bit of detail. Boom. Real quick, I'm just going to take a sick break. Yo, I got that silver still laid out on my desktop. I'm going to grab that silver. I'm going to paint this rib or this strut or whatever this is just super quick. Boom. Let it dry. Come back in later with a wash. Right now, we're just tracing the copula now. Look at that. We're painting a sick shadow. When normally people think of the airbrush, they think that they're just highlighting and highlighting and highlighting. We've gone all the way back to the shadow. We're creating contrast by making the dark spots dark. And this is why I told you I didn't care about the speckling earlier. I'm going to get rid of all the speckling right now with this super contrast shadow. So there is no rule book on what order you have to go in to create highlights. This is my order of operations that I sometimes use. Sometimes I come all the way back to the end. By adding this black right now, I've completely broken the rule that some people hold, that they think like the model starts black and then you start highlighting over that. Well, the model did start black, then it was tire black, then it was these grays. And now I've gone all the way back to a blacker than tire black to create more contrast. Look at that. It's a different model. And we're not done yet. It gets even better, guys. I promise you. This is what I'm talking about. I promise you, you've never seen this before. Step 1, windows. Take that black, thin down. We're going to trace these L's, these 90-degree diagonal strips in the top left of some of these panels or wherever we feel. Just real quick. Thin coat. Trace it out. Now, you may have seen this technique before, or you think you have. I will concede that painting the top left region of a window and a copula is not new, and you probably have seen that before. But I promise you, this is order of operations. Remember what I talked about before? It doesn't always have to be dark and then bright. Well, I'm going to show you some crazy shit. This hawk turquoise, this is bright. This is the bright blue. But now we've gone all the way to black. And in a window, glass, for example, the reflective surfaces, they do weird things. Now, I don't know. I haven't studied glass that much. Like, in all reality, I don't exactly know how it casts reflections. I just know, having been a comic book artist for a while and, you know, having to sketch reflections out, I know kind of like the basis of it. So you see, it already looks interesting here. If we didn't do another thing, you can almost let that ride. You could be like, I could buy that, but fuck that. Image Comics right now. Get that deep blue, thin it down, time to be brave, come in with the airbrush. We are now taking a dark tone. So we've gone dark, bright, mid-tone. Right now, we're gonna fuzz the border between the black and the hawk turquoise or the turquoise blue. Boom, that quick, with our airbrush. No masking, nothing. Just a quick little fuzz, and look at that window. Pow. Look at the impact. Have you ever seen this technique? People would be masking this shit off or blending it forever by hand. Now, if you get any of this deep blue on the gray, no big deal. Just go back in with that rubber and wipe it out, bro. It doesn't matter. Like one little line with your paintbrush will undo any overspray you get. And most of this overspray, once it dries, will be unnoticeable. Look at this. Look at these cracked windows. It's coming in tight. Being very patient, very detailed. Using 99% air as we come through this airbrush right here. Boom. Look at that. Holy shit. I promised, and I hope I delivered. I hope that you have never seen that technique exactly done before. The Be Brave order of operations window technique. All right, guys, and one last little gleam. Use an off-white. I'm using that same weathered wood we used earlier, and I'm just tracing a tiny little white line on the edges of these broken windows, and that's it. And that's just gonna sell the effect even more. I would literally urge you guys to go back to the beginning of this video once we're done and look at where we started and how far we've come. And this video is almost 30 minutes long. This video might be, you know, only slightly shorter than how long it took me in real life. Literally not that long. Oh, here's the Aquila. We're back to that yellow rust. We're gonna drop a couple of quick highlights in it. We're not gonna do any crazy non-metal metallics here, but you could literally do that if you wanted to in your spare time. But right now we're just doing some traditional wing highlights, tops of the double eagle. We're gonna add a little bit more in there, second pass, get that highlight to pop. And then we will add a little bit of that weathered wood that we used in that first steps of the video. And we'll add a couple of little clutch gleams, selling you on the fact that it is gold. There we go. Cling. That simple. Kablow. Right there. Feeling that double-headed bird. Boom. Just get a couple of little dots on the wings, make it look like they're shiny. Pretty easy. And now we got a great looking piece that didn't take very long. Total paint time, like I said, might have been 2 hours. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we probably, from start to finish, 2 hours of work to get it to this level. But you could add more pieces to that and get similar effects. There it is. I feel really good about this as a piece of terrain on the table. Like I said, if you had 3 of these lined up, it wouldn't have taken you but 20 more minutes. Anyway, guys, thanks for checking this video. Play on, players.